All right. Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Draglist Live, where we get to bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name's Bill Pratt. It's great to be with you tonight. Tonight, we feature community leader and racer Macon Jackson. He's going to tell us all about how to use his drag racing and hot rodding to make the world a better place. There's Macon right there. Before we bring him in, let's go to John. John, how are you doing, sir?
Well, doing great here, BP, and howdy from Houston, everybody. Please join us on the live chat. The chat board is on the right side of your YouTube window. Tell us who you are and where you're from. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to BP and Macon.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And folks, click the like and click the share buttons. Let your friends know we have Macon here live. And to prove it, let's bring him in. Macon Jackson, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me on the show.
Really excited. We got you in the den of drag racing history down there. That's a pretty badass room. Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this room, it's a basement. It's a little over 1,000 square feet, and I basically just everything drag racing, maybe baseball, a little football. What you see behind me is my tribute wall for Tom McEwen and Don Perdone.
Mm-hmm.
Over on this side is my Smoking Joe's wall, and that side over there that you can't see is Shirley Modowney's wall.
Nice.
And then I have a Bernstein and a Junior Bernstein, and it's all kind of stuff in here, man. You know, I got sides of funny cars hanging from the ceiling. I mean, yeah, it's a lot in here.
I love it. You're into it. Let's put it that way. Oh, it's really cool. Let's talk about, we'll establish some credentials here a little bit. You've been a fixture in the West Coast racing scene for years with experience in nitro and blown alcohol teams. Tell us a little bit about some of that.
Well, got involved in racing through my cousin and my brother-in-law. And from that, the love of it just grew. And eventually I went into working on alcohol cars, dragsters and funny cars and alters, and just worked with various teams. And then some opportunities opened up where I was able to get on some nitro teams and do a little nitro work also. So it's been very rewarding.
That's awesome. Lots of names we've known, like Jeff Bennett, for instance. He's involved with him and lots of other guys.
Yes, Jeff and Cindy Bennett, with Cindy's father, Leon Fitzgerald, phenomenal guy, love him. He was just very dear to my heart, with the Pure Heaven Furl Altered.
Right.
Great people, phenomenal family, love them very well.
Yeah, it's funny. I was chatting with Cindy Gibbs a couple of weeks ago, and you don't realize it, it's California or West Coast for sure. Everybody is like married to everybody else. So all the race, like Cindy, for instance, married to Arias, of Arias Pistons, and Sorello's in there somehow, and everybody kind of knows everybody. So you got Jeff in there, and his wife is like Leon's daughter, and I just love that because everybody's kind of related in one big family out there.
Yes, that's one thing I love about the drag racing family. It is just that. It is a family. When you pull in through the gate at a track, you're among family and friends, and everyone is going to support everyone and everyone is going to take care of everyone,
Right.
And that's what I love about it.
Yep, it's the best thing ever. And we have it on the East Coast too. We have our own little family that we see everywhere we go, and it's kind of a family reunion every track you go at, whatever it's all up and down the road. Doesn't matter where you go, you know who to go visit with in the pits and see what's going on.
Yes, and I would love to spend some time out there on the East Coast and get to know some of those folks and do some racing with them. It would be nice.
That'd be great. You need to hitchhike with old Pete Moriello. He makes it out here now and then. And of course, Jim Mayer and Jimmy and other guys or James, I should say, the guys from
James.
Those are good. I just saw those guys at Irwindale. I was able to go out to Irwindale, which was a blast.
Oh, Irwindale was phenomenal. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't able to attend this year. I had with great anticipation of going, but things work out and you can't make it.
Yeah. Well, we'll catch you one of these days down the road. What what were some of the things you did on the? Did you tune any of the cars? You get to where you tune some of them, or other maintenance? What was your involvement over the years?
Well, I would basically do the bottom end, the frill, parachutes,
Mm-hmm.
um, tires, clutch, and pretty much that.
Pretty much get
Service a blower here and there if
awesome.
need be.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, at one point, you were putting a top fuel card together yourself. Tell us a little bit about that. I know that didn't quite turn any tires, but tell us about that exercise.
Well, I was working for a guy by the name of Jay Roach, and he had a top fuel car, and unfortunately, he passed away. And so his partner, Arlie, had the
Yeah.
car, and so I acquired the car. And
Okay.
so once I acquired the car and everything, I went about putting together a marketing program, which was very good, and I still have to this day. And so I started marching forward with my marketing plan. And as you know, and everyone else out there knows, it's hard to get money. It's
Yeah.
hard to sell the deal, and but the times that I was out there doing it, selling the deal, and I'm still trying to this day,
Hmm.
um, I eventually sold the car because, as you well know, um, chassis and parts they become dated, and
Right.
so you just don't want to be sitting around with a dinosaur on your hands.
Right.
So I just decided to off it all and sell it all. And once that big door is open, then I'll step through with a brand new operation.
I love it. Well, in all honesty, and I love these guys, but Jay Roach and Arlie Langlo didn't have the most latest equipment as it was, right? I love those guys because they're definitely low buck top fuel racers. They typically raced at Spokane once a year, maybe here and there elsewhere, always coming up with new ideas for how to run a top fuel car on a budget limit. Those skinny tires they tried, slicks, I mean, as Indy tires kind of on the back of the car. Were you involved with some of those crazy engineering aspects that they did?
No, I was not, but I'll tell you two things. The Jay would always tell me he would have a square block of aluminum, a little bitty, I don't know, maybe 6x6 or 8x8, little block of aluminum. And he would point at it and he says, Macon, there's a pulley in there. You just need to know how to go get it, you know?
Right.
And now you speak of those skinny tires, okay? I have those tires,
Really? Wow.
those tires and wheels. So the trailer itself, when you loaded that dragster into it, the slicks would not fit. So
Right.
we would take those slicks off and put those on, and that allowed the car to go into the trailer and go, in top of the trailer.
Gotcha. I love it. The famous Titan Express, I think, was the last thing they called it, right? I can't remember. Gotta go.
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Very cool. Well, sorry to hear about your friend Jay. I just have huge love for. I love low buck nitro as it is, but low. And by the way, let's be honest, no low buck nitro is not no buck nitro. I mean, it is still very expensive, but
Yeah, when you consider a drama nitro is pretty much a house note now.
yeah.
So
Wow.
it's expensive, but it's the love of the sport.
Heck yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch of people out there doing it. I guess I get to talk about it. It's a lot cheaper, let me tell you what. But I sure do enjoy what you're doing. Macon, you want to take a couple minutes? We'll go check in with John and see if anybody's joined us on the chat. John, anybody out there, my friend?
Yeah, we have people here from coast to coast tonight. Rich
Yay.
Panacaro in New Jersey is with us, and he says good evening. And Jack Red in Maryland is here. and he says, "Hi, everybody." A person named T, which I think might be Kay Thorkelson, is here with us tonight. And Pete Mariello in Los Angeles, of course, is here with us listening in. And everybody says hi.
Howdy. Well, we're taking a guess at T there. You know, it's 25 other letters in the alphabet. There's probably a lot of folks with a T, but tell us who you are, and we'll welcome you in. So our girl Kay, of course, you know, introducing us to Macon, and she takes such good care of us. I was chatting with her all weekend, but she was out at the Corey Mack event in Las Vegas. Were you there? Yes, you were, weren't you? Tell us
Yes, I was.
That weekend.
Yes, I was with my good friend Randy Winkle.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that him and Stormy restored the Durachrome bug.
Right.
So, and the reason that Durachrome bug has significant in my life, shortly after the passing of my father in 1970, my cousin Melvin took me to my first drag race. And I never saw anything like this in my life. You know, I was a 10-year-old kid. And well, the Durachrome bug was there, and he did a burnout, Warren Gutner.
Yeah.
And he stopped right in front of me. You know, and back in them days, there was the guardrail, and then there was the fence, and you was there. I mean, I could have touched him if I wanted to, you know? And he had on all white fire suit, mask, and everything. He looked over at me, and he threw up a peace sign, and I lost. Right? So that day at that drag race, it was on. They had the funny cars, they had the dragsters, they had the AA full altars. So the final round of the AA full altars, it was Nanook and the Yellow Submarine.
Yeah.
And Nanook had whipped them all day long. And, you know, everybody knew Nanook's going to win this thing. So they burn out and they push him back and everything. And the announcer comes on the PA systems and says, Submarine is running 100% nitro. And I turned and I looked at my cousin and said, 100%? He says, yeah. I said, well, what's going to happen? He said, oh, it'll blow up. I'm like, what? And so they staged them up. And right when they went to stage, I nudged my cousin. I said, I got to go to the bathroom. So I run out of the bleachers and I run under the bleachers and I'm peeking through the bleachers and they blast off. And sure enough, Submarine, boom, kicked the blur off and Nanook won the race. And after that, I was done.
Yeah.
I was done. This is my sport now. This is my drug.
The hook was set. I love it.
The hook was set. The hook was set.
Well, that's fantastic. We're giving us a little preview. We'll mention this later, of course, but Randy Winkle and Stormy Bird are coming on the show next Monday night, to tell us about restoring that Durachrome bug. So I'm really excited to have them back. It's a work of art.
I saw that.
I chatted with both of them out of Irwindale, and it's always great to catch up with them. But that's a great story. Now that's worth the price of admission right there.
Thank you.
So how often did you get back? Did you bug your uncle or someone else to get you right back to it?
Well, he would take me, you know, just about every weekend or every other weekend that he had the money, you know. I remember one time he took me and dropped me off because he had to go to work, you know, and I was just there, you know, all by my lonesome.
Oh, and, the 70s. I remember them. What track was it?
Great. It was great. Now, Stardust Raceway. You know, now that I think about it, I remember one time he took me to the finish line. This is insane. This is just how great it was back then. He took me to the finish line, and Don Perdone and Tom McEwen came down the track. And when they came across the finish line, it looked like both of the cars just stopped, paused. And I could see the back of both cars. And then all of a sudden, boom, they were gone. But I kid you not, I wasn't 8 feet from the track, you know? I mean, it was like, yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
that's
now
scary.
Yeah, but it was fun. You know, we didn't know fear, you know? We look at fear and do it anyway, you know?
Yeah, you had an excuse. I stood at the top. Me and Brett Kepner was standing underneath the top end scoreboard when Bill Mateo went by about 318 miles an hour up at Norwalk in his jet dragster. That was impressive, but there was no way either one of us old asses was going to get out of the way of that thing if it happened to come our way.
Oh no, Bill that's the man when it
He was
comes
the
to jet
man.
dragsters.
Yeah, you can definitely have too much access sometimes, but better than also had a funny car roll over the guardrail at Norwalk and start pushing up dirt heading towards us sideways on its side. Old Rudy McAdams out of Maryland, but we tended to run away from that one too, but we he was okay
Right,
though.
right.
Crazy stuff. Well, I'm looking at your Facebook page and I see a bunch of happy kids with you in a water truck. Tell us all about that.
Okay, so that particular event, I do mentoring with kids and everything. In that particular event, we did a tree planting event in a neighborhood. And we, over 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, with the help of some contractors, with some skid steers and some augers and stuff, we planted over 200 trees in that neighborhood.
Wow.
And so that's hence the picture that you see. We finished up on that Sunday and got it done and planted all those trees throughout that neighborhood. You know.
I love it. Well, you've got an organization called Front Seat to Success, where you're helping out young men and women there who are looking for a little direction in life. Tell us about getting that started and what you're going for.
Well, Front Seat to Success. Well, always mentor the kids, talk to them, and in some cases, meet with the parents and talk with the parents as to why the child is acting out the way the child is. And so this one particular time I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, man, I got to, get some money together because I need to take these kids to this event. And, because I always do it out of my pocket. I don't think nothing about it. Should,
Right.
but he says, man, why don't you do a charity and you can raise money legally? I'm like, what? He says, yeah. So I looked into the paperwork, got the paperwork, and they required a name, but I didn't have a name for it. So I called him back. I said, what we going to call this thing? And he said, I'll call you back. Let me think about it. So a couple of days he calls me back and he says, Front Seat to Success. He says, think about it. What you're doing is putting these kids in the front seat, in the driver's seat for the success of their lives. So in this program, I introduced these kids to junior dragsters now. Okay, that's the whole thing. Because kids know about stick and ball sports, but they don't know about wheel and tire sport. Okay, right. So my idea is to introduce them to drag racing, to NASCAR, to motocross. If it has wheels, I want to introduce these kids to that, Mm-hmm. And, and on the other side of it, mentoring them, of course, but also what I do also is introduce them to their careers. They may have a career that they are interested in. So, for example, if they want to become a veterinarian, then I set up something with a vet where we go to a veterinarian facility, and that particular veterinarian can explain to them everything what it's required to become a veterinarian and do all of that. So that's kind of it. That and just racing.
That's amazing. Well, thanks for giving back. We'll talk a little bit more about those juniors here, but let's check in with John. I see him typing hard over there, indicating that folks are chatting back and forth. John, what do folks have to say?
Well, I was talking to Rich Panicaro, actually. He thought that the person that I mentioned earlier, was Kay Thurkelson, but actually it's Tom Pinto, and he's our racer of the week.
Hey,
and Tom's checking in with us from Mahopec, New York.
Wow.
And he says, good evening to everybody.
Howdy.
And we're caught up for the moment.
Okay, well, get them questions coming, guys and gals out there. And welcome to everybody, including Tom.
I had a question for Macon. I hope it's appropriate, but I was watching one of Kay's videos today, and it appeared that the Durachrome bug had the engine seized up on it or something. What happened?
What happened was we went out and it did a burnout, and when Randy went to bag up, it wouldn't steer. It would just go off to the left or to the right. It just wouldn't steer. So he
Oh,
did
okay.
another little burnout, and it wouldn't. When he go to back up, it wouldn't steer, and so he just shut it off. So what we found out once we got back to the pits, and upon further examination, that there's this one little metal piece on the tie rod under there that was bent, and it caused a bolt and a nut to rub on the other one. And when you turn the wheel, it took all the steering away.
I see. Yeah.
So the boys are back at the Famoso Speed Shop fixing that problem.
Okay.
Good.
It's always something, isn't it?
Well, you know
Here's-
what they say. You know what they say. If it was easy, everybody do it.
That's right.
I remember reading it's usually a 15-cent part that
And that's what it was.
does it.
You know, a 15-cent little bent piece of metal. You know, I don't know. Maybe it done it when they did a wheel stand up in Wisconsin, and it did another little wheel stand when we did the burnout. Oh, it's ready to go. It's ready to go. It's full of spit and vinegar, that's for sure.
Right.
Wow.
I love that car.
It's a piece of artwork, that's for sure.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's thank you, John. Let's go back to the juniors. Do you actually have a junior dragster that you put the kids in, or how does that work, Macon?
Well, at first, I didn't want to own any juniors. I just wanted to link up with some people that rent juniors out to kids and stuff like that.
Right.
And then it just like, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to own at least 2 of these cars. So right now I'm in the process of raising funds to buy a couple of junior dragsters. Yes.
Okay.
So that's what we're on the hunt for right now.
Because you go 8 to 16 years old. I mean, can they all sort of fit? I guess I don't know what that. I had both of my kids in them at one time too, but they were beginning starter cars.
Right. And see, and that's the whole deal. That's why I'm saying I'm going to have 2. One will be a starter car, and then the other one, a bigger car for the older kids, you know?
Right.
So that's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
That's great. So how do you sort of decide who gets the ride up front? Do you do a lottery system, or, I mean, because there's I don't know if all those kids with you in the water truck, I assume they're not all part of that, but sort of what is the criteria for joining up?
Well, the criteria is they have to provide their own equipment. Okay. They have to want it. They have to, I'm not going to give it to them. They got to want it. You know, just like in football, you have equipment you have to buy. So if you really want to drive this little car, you really want to partake in this, well, then you're going to have, you know, something in the fight. Okay. So they'll have to buy their own helmet, their gloves, their suit, and things of that nature. Then we can go, you know.
That's interesting. I've never, I've only borrowed stuff from fellow racers when I sat in cars to cackle and stuff. So does anybody rent safety equipment out there? Is that a thing? I've never asked the question before, but it never occurred to me until right now that there might be folks who, you know, they're trying it out and maybe not going to do it the rest of their life. What, you know, sort of, is there a place to go rent some stuff for a while? You know,
well, not to my knowledge. I believe, like, if you were to go to, I don't know, maybe one of the drag racing schools, they may have equipment suits that, you know, you can use while you're there at the school. But as far as someone having equipment like that to rent, I don't know.
We may be able to go into business, my friend. We may come up with a new idea here. We'll see.
True, because a lot of times people want a license in a car, and they'll go out and buy a fire suit, and then they get in there and they decide this is not for me.
Right.
And you're out $4,000 with equipment that now you got to try to sell it, and you're not going to get your money back. You'll get some of it, but there you go. So yeah, you're on to something there.
Yeah, we got some. We just invented some. Don't let anybody steal this, or send me 10% if you do it. That's what I'm asking.
I'm not going to do it. I got enough on my plate.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I got all kinds of ideas. I got no kind of time. That's my problem. Well, that's really great. So I really appreciate what you're doing with the kids. It's huge. I know we chatted a little bit before this program. We kind of come from similar backgrounds, I think, with our parents and stuff. And I know that when I was a inner city kid from Cleveland, and I know there were folks that came and looked out for me, pulled me out of the projects, took me here and there, let me see what the country was like. And if I'd have had someone come take me to drags, it'd have been all over, because I've been loving that since I was a solid 10 and 12, building the models, building the models, reading the mags on the magazine rack. I never could afford to take them out of there. But the one cool thing was, once my mom bought me the Bruce Larson model and a red, white, and blue windbreaker of his 70 Camaro funny car. And one of the great joys of my life is I've come to know this gentleman. And
wow,
so that has been it's been a dream come true. So from me at an early age as well. So great.
Awesome.
Well, you're in addition to taking care of the kids and stuff, I think you're gonna maybe do a little bit of racing yourself in 2025. Tell us what you got coming up.
Well, 2025 is shaping up very interesting. A good friend of mine out of Texas, I'll tell you the story. He had a car in his garage that he'd been trying to sell, and he could never sell it. And some guy came by and looked at the car and told him, well, I really don't have all the money that you want for this car, but what I do have is a jet dragster. He said, what? He said, yeah. He says, dude, I race nitro funny cars. That's all I've done. Long story short, they swapped. And
wow.
So his next move was to call me. And we're talking about it. And he says, well, you can drive it. You're gonna drive it. I'm like, oh, really now? So I was voluntold that I'm gonna drive a jet dragster. Furthest thing from my mind, never thought about it ever. Had some stints and some little alcohol injected funny cars, and driven a few Alters and a few dragsters and stuff. A jet car, never thought about that. But here we go. But beyond that, I'm putting together a top dragster that I'm hoping to be able to run next year. So that's going to be a little fun thing. So we'll see. We'll just take it one day at a time,
Well, good luck. And you're going to be, either one of those is going to put you on the drag racing list. So I can't wait to get the details. I'll call you later. We'll get you listed up. You might be our first 2025 entry.
Awesome.
What are you looking to run for a combo in your top dragster? Blown, a small block, or big block with carbs or injectors? What's the thought?
Well, I have an AJ6 block, a Bryant crank, Brad 5 heads with I think it's a 1071 blower. So
got it. So somebody's prepping to go, blown alcohol or blown fuel racing one of these days once they get their feet underneath them. That's what it sounds like to me.
Oh man, that would be the ultimate,
So cool. Well, you're what are have you gone up and down the road racing with various teams and stuff? What were some of the favorite races you encountered, or favorite finishes or records that have been set? Just what are some of the highlights of hanging out with some of those teams?
Well, one of my highlights just happened here recently at Bakersfield at the Heritage Race. I was working again with Jeff and Cindy Bennett on the Pure Heaven, and that little car, we had ran that car before, and it always runs like the 640s, and so we went out, made a pass, it did okay. And so the next day we come back, and we had qualified, it was Sunday, and we put a new clutch in it. And that was pretty much all we did to it. And it went out there and it ran a 620.
Nice.
And we lost it, right? We just cheering and jumping up and down and acting up like we won the U.S. Nationals, right? So the other team, that guy, they beat us. They went a 607, right?
Wow.
So the crew member goes to the other crew member and says, "Hey, didn't we win that race?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, why are they so happy? They got beat because we just, that made our weekend to see that car go 620, and in honor of Leon Fitzgerald, just
right.
Love it.
That's fantastic. And yeah, personal bests are a thing. And Leon Fitzgerald, you might know, likely do, but for all the other big names that raced a lot, consistently week in and week out, that little Chevy powered car would wear him out. It would 650 him to death whenever, other folks were running, 620, 631 running and 670 or 710 the next. He was very consistent and always did well, against the Hemis out there, which is, I'm also a Chevy Nitro fan too. So.
Oh, okay. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Pretty amazing. Well, that's great. I mean, any other road stories or things that happen as on your way to or from the drags, or weird things at the drags?
Okay. So this one, again, we were headed to the March meet, and we pull in out there at this hotel, and it's about 10:30 at night. And we walk into this hotel, it's like a Howard Johnson or whatever, and there's no one at the counter. So we wait, we look, we wait, no one, nowhere. So we start searching the hotel. There's not a maid, there's not a porter, there's not a clerk. No one is in this property.
Wow.
So my buddy says, "Wait a minute, back in the day, I worked at a hotel. So let me see if I can get on their computer and work it out," right? So he jumps on their computer and he starts doing whatever he was doing on the computer, and we're looking around, there's nobody there, right? So by now, other people are coming to the hotel to check in, right? So he says, "Here, Macon, take this card, go up to this room and see if it works." Okay. So I go up there, and sure enough, it works. I came back, I said, "It works, it's worked." So he started, not only did he check us in, he checked in other people. So we called, God, I think it was Howard Johnson. So we call Howard Johnson. We get this lady, and she's like, "I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't even know who to refer you to." So by now, there's a line, and we're checking people in, right? And I said, "Well, I want a suite," right?
Hell yeah. And you should want every discount known to man, too.
Right. So we did that until about 1:00 in the morning. Okay.
Unbelievable.
Yes. And so we forget it. We're going to bed. So we got up the next day, come downstairs. Everything is just like normal, like a normal hotel. The continental breakfast is out. The people are behind the counter and everything. We're like, "What happened?" So I asked the lady that was behind the counter, and she told me that the manager that ran the place that night, well, he came to work a little tipsy. Well, he wasn't satisfied with that. He left to go get some more. But when he came back to the parking lot, the police pulled him over and took him to jail for a DUI.
Oh, no.
And that was the story. Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's the best. That's one of the best stories we've ever had on this show. I swear to God. Unbelievable.
You get the traveling around this countryside, man, and things just happen. Things happen.
That's amazing. I thought I had one because when I got to Irwindale this year about 1 a.m, I flew in late into LAX at 1, grabbed a rental car, which was a Dodge Challenger, by the way, a black Dodge Challenger. It was awesome. And got up to, Irwindale and went to check in. And there was a guy there, but let me tell you what, that brother was like, you ever see that movie Zootopia? like them
Yep.
slopes behind he was like one of them dudes. It took me 20 minutes. I was the only person there. Everybody else in bed. It took me 20 minutes to get away from the front desk. I just keep my mouth shut. Here, I'm at Nitro Revival. Be up in the
Right.
morning. But it was comical. Anyway, that's
Sometimes
the best
silence
story.
is the best.
Yeah, that's great. Let's check in with Mr. JB and see who else is out there digging that story or with anything else they got.
Well, everybody is really enjoying this interview, Macon. The stories that you're telling us are fantastic, and we had Rich Panicaro made a comment, and he said, Macon Jackson is a very cool guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it's just been great. We haven't had a lot of comments or questions, but it's what you're doing and what you're telling us is just we're sitting here listening to you and just really enjoying it.
Yeah. People out
Thank
there
you.
talking among themselves. That's cool. Partied up, guys. So I have a question typically about what's your interest away from drag racing, but I know you take care of the kids. Anything else you like to do?
Well, family, of course, hanging out with them. And then I get tired of them and I go racing. No, I'm kidding. But family, I like a good football game, love some football. And that's pretty much it, and yeah.
You a big Raiders fan from out there in Vegas now? Have they won you over?
There'll be none of that. No, so for years, Las Vegas never had a football team, as you well know. Right. So I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. That's my team, and cool. I jumped on that bandwagon back in the 90s when they were losers,
Yeah.
And so it just worked out that they've been progressively good and great at times over the years, No, I can't do the Raiders. I'm sorry.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I'm from Cleveland, so you give me your. I deserve. The dog pound, but I deserve sympathy myself. But yeah, and I was at a Redskins game. I'm sorry, a Commanders game a couple of weeks ago, and they beat up on who was it? So sorry, John. It was it was Tennessee. It was the Titans.
Tennessee, yeah.
And
Tennessee is getting they're going to build them a new stadium too.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Man, yeah, football's fun. John, I know John's a Houston fan down there, of course, but that's where John is tonight. But
Houston got a good team going on also. They'll figure it out.
Let's hope so. We got Murderers Row coming up, but we'll see how we can do.
Is that like a bunch of killer teams? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're playing the Dolphins Sunday, and then they have the Ravens and the Chiefs after that, and their final game of the season is against the Titans in Tennessee. Tennessee beat us once. It's a tough schedule. They gave us a first place schedule because we did so well last year. And right now, I think they're 8-5 or 8-4.
Okay,
that ain't too bad in this era. But, well, Macon, a lot of people. I know you said you're out there looking for sponsorship stuff, and you mentioned your friend who helped you get the 501c started. You got any shout outs to friends or sponsors that helped you out there, or just anybody you want to say howdy to?
Well, I would say hi to Donnie Couch.
Saw him at Irwindale.
Yeah, that's my buddy right there, Donnie Couch. We talk quite often, and one of my great dear friends here in Las Vegas is Andrew Good. Great guy, phenomenal guy, so it's just so many great people that push and support, if you will. And I'm just thankful and grateful to them all,
That's all. Yeah, but you got a big old family reunion. You can't start naming them one at a time, as you lose out one of them.
Right. And that's one thing about the drag race. When you go there to run a race, but you get there, you want to visit with everybody because you haven't saw everyone. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
yeah, but you got to work.
Yeah, it's funny. So see, not me. I just get to hang out. So in fact, I sat there talking to Donnie Couch as we ate some barbecue chicken that my friend James Mayer put together for us. And was
James is great.
So yeah, it was pretty sweet. It was a home away from home. I had several homes away from home, no matter where I went, and it was wonderful. But it was great to catch up with Donnie.
Yes.
Talking about small world, we know, I work in IT here in the DC area. We know a lady together, and he'd reminded me. He says, "How's so and so doing?" I said, "Oh my gosh, I haven't worked with her in 20 years." So it's been a while since we chatted.
Right.
So, pretty cool stuff.
Yes, it is.
You know, you got a Facebook page. Where can folks find you on the internet or elsewhere? So there's MJR. You got a Facebook page, right? Anything else?
The Facebook page of Macon Jackson Racing on Facebook. Other than that, I'm working on the web page. You need to get that up and going. Just it's always something to do.
Yeah, everything with time.
Exactly. And Miss K, with her help and support, will make everything greater for me. Because she's amazing.
Yeah, she takes good care of us too. She's our buddy. She looks out for us, and that's how we get in to talk to you. Let's chat with John one last time. See if anyone out there has any final parting thoughts for Macon.
Kay Thurkelson just showed up, and she says, "Good evening, everybody." And we've just really enjoyed the interview tonight, Macon. You've had an outstanding career in motorsports, and it's an inspiration. And of course, Rich Panicaro asked Kay if there's any chance of getting Butch Leal on the show. I guess we'll find out.
That would be awesome.
Saw Butch when I was out there too. He was all over the place. So thank you, Kay. So Kay showed up just in time to hear her shout out, which was nice there.
Yes. She's always on time.
Yep. Perfect. Well, Macon, it's been a real pleasure talking with you tonight. Any final parting shots for us or any of the kids out there? I think there might be some kids listening.
All I can really think of and really say, if you want to do it, do it. Just have the will to do it. You can do it. Whatever it is, you can do it. And I'll tell you this in a parting way. And this is funny. When I went to get my certification as a diver, and I did the classroom, and then we go out to the swimming pool, and the swimming pool at that time was like 15 feet deep. And I have on all the gear, the mask, the tank, and everything. And the guy says, well, you step off like this and hold the mask to your face when you go in and everything. And right before I stepped off, I said to myself, you don't know how to swim, don't you? And I jumped anyway. And I got my certification. So at the end of the day, if you want to do it, do it.
Nice.
That's what I say.
It's not a problem to be scared. It's go ahead on and do it and get it done.
Just do it.
Very well said. Well said.
Ladies and gentlemen, Macon Jackson, our new best friend. He's unbelievable. I'm so glad to meet you, sir. And please check back in with us in 2025. I want to know about that top dragster. I want to know about that jet funny or jet dragster. And we'll be following along. We'll send Miss K to come find you.
That'll be awesome. Look forward to it.
Have a great Christmas, a great New Year, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much, my friend.
You guys do likewise, and to the listening audience, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas and all of that good stuff, and and happy belated or late Thanksgiving, because I definitely gobble until I wobble. So yay.
Yeah. I was right there with you, brother. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Macon Jackson. Adios, sir. See you down the road.
Take care.
All right, so cool. Let's turn it over now to John Bachman and this week's JB's Take. John, take it away, sir.
Thanks, BP. My pick for Racer of the Week is Tom Pinto from Mahopec, New York. Tom drives a 2008 Pontiac G8 with a full interior. The car weighs 3,960 pounds with driver. The engine is a 427 cubic inch TH400 with a forced induction 88 millimeter turbo. The car is currently listed as third on the fastest American G8 list. Tom's best ET is an 847 at 163 miles an hour in the quarter mile. Tom has a great story for us. He got into racing at an early age, but he never had the funds to build his own. He started drag racing motorcycles at Englishtown, New Jersey. He started working with Al Fiorello and Scotty Wheels McDonald on an X275 car, and from then on he was hooked. He began running his street stick car, which is an '04 GTO, putting out about 600 horsepower to the wheels and ran 11 O's. He decided that wasn't fast enough, so he bought a G8 against most people's recommendations on going fast. Al Fiorello from Fiorello Motorsports and Tom have been changing and developing this G8. They started with a small PT88 turbo and ran an 895. They decided to keep pushing the platform and have done really well with it. Their season ended before they laid down their goal pass. However, Tom traveled out to the LS Fest and entered the 860 class and was #1 qualifier each round with a best of 8,603. The weather was tough to chase, and they broke out, unfortunately, with an 854. He also traveled out to the Midwest Holden race and was able to keep the car consistent and in the winner's circle. And that's where I found out about Tom, is Aaron Kaler got in touch with me and recommended him to be Racer of the Week. So thanks, Aaron. The setup is pretty simple. It has stock suspension with about 180,000 miles on it up front, stock rear suspension in the back from a ZL1 Camaro. They laugh, saying if they break, he can call a retail store for parts. They plan to run the car into the sevens and should do that this coming winter and spring. Tom has an incredible amount of support and knowledge backing his program, which he is super grateful for. Al Fiorello at Fiorello Motorsports for keeping him safe, pushing him to the edge, and helping in every aspect of the program. Scotty Wheels Racing for the continued support on the build, setup, parts, fuel, and friendship. Bob Valding at RPE, who has consistently built and managed the engines for Tom and Al. Without him, Tom's not sure if they would be this far with it. Anthony Apuzzo at Accurate Transmission for building a badass unit and keeping it together. Noah Stein at Simple Concepts Race Cars for all the fab work, advice, and power. Derek Burton at Bootleg Tuning for the computer magic and dyno sessions to get this thing moving. Frank Bartold for track support and wiring this beast up. Paul Albino, I believe it's Albino, at Total Induction Solutions, who has been by their side since day one with advice and knowledge. The amount of parts on this car and help from the manufacturers is astounding. BMR, G8only.com, Shearer Fab, Forced Induction Solutions, Jose is the man. Maverick Man Carbon Fiber, Stroud Safety, Hoosier Tire, Motion Raceworks, and TBM Brakes. The Tom and Al are going to keep the Macon 850, but really want to focus on small tire, no time, heads up racing, and grudge. Tom is currently third on the active G8s in America, and one was parted out. Tom, thank you for sending this great information on your great hot rod. We wish you good luck, safe racing, and the best of times in the future. Everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. We look forward to having you all with us every week. It's a great way for us to spend an hour together on a Monday night. I'll see you all next time. Merry Christmas. God bless America. Back to you, BP.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it, my friend. Awesome, awesome stuff. And man, Mr. Pinto's got it going on. I love it.
Yes, he does. He's a great guy too. He sent me all this great information just right off the bat.
Well, let's talk about some upcoming guests. So we mentioned it because we happen to be talking about the duochrome bug. But thanks to Miss K, coming up on the 16th next Monday night, we're going to be talking to our friend Stormy Bird, who makes a return trip, but also to Randy Winkle, who has done a magnificent job on reconstructing that duochrome bug nitro funny car. It is a work of art, truly a jewel. Talked to Stormy, talked to Randy when I was out at Irwindale, and just can't wait to get them on here to talk about that rebuild. And Stormy's advising and helping, get the horsepower to the track, in addition to driving his own machine. And in addition, which we found out the last time, to being one of the great historians in the sport and someone who takes it all the way back and truly studies what the guys from the old days did and brings that forward. So Stormy Bird, Randy Winkle next Monday night. It's going to be awesome. I mean, I know John's got something to work with. John, I think on the current poster this week had the original version of the duochrome bug. There are beautiful photos of the recreation. So looking forward to seeing that on one of your great posters.
I'll be sure to check in with Stormy and see if he has any updates in his graphics, and I'll make a new graphic for him.
Sounds great. Thank you, sir.
Also, I'm not going to be here for the show on the 16th, so I'm going to ask Kay to sub for me. And I have to get in touch with my racer of the week and get all his information to Kay, and everything will go smooth.
Yeah, that reminds me. You just reminded me. Thank you. So John will be off next week, which he told us a long time ago. Kay has agreed to fill in and do the John Bachman part. So we'll have to get together sometime this week and do a test run and play around with all the controls, because I frankly wouldn't know where to go myself with the chat. So you've got that covered. We'll have to set up a little test session. But yeah, so tune in, if only for that, folks. Kay Turkelson at the controls on the show with John and doing the race of the week. So, on the show on behalf of John, doing the race of the week. That's next Monday night. So pretty cool. Stormy Bird, Randy Winkle, and Miss K live. And John, you have a fantastic trip wherever you're going, and we'll catch you when you return. So the next part of the segment, those we lost, folks. I'm loving this. I don't have anyone to report this week. We took a look around the internet for drag racers or folks involved with drag racing who have passed on. The answer I got back was a big fat zero. So if somebody unfortunately did pass and we weren't able to see it, we'll add them to next week. But I'm okay with this every single week if it wraps this way. But with that, we're close to a wrap for the show. John, any final thoughts from you, sir?
Well, it was just great having Macon on the show tonight. He's got an interesting story behind him, and he's done it all from top to bottom, and he came up through the ranks to be where he is now, and that's something to be proud of. And I was thinking about sponsorship for him, and since he's in Las Vegas, maybe he could get one of those casinos to chip in on his operation. But I don't know because I couldn't hear all that well. I wasn't sure if he still has the dragster. So
yeah, no, he's sold the dragster chassis. So the great Arlie Langlois, and only the hardest of the hardcore top fuel low buck guys will know who that is. I mean, Arlie's been racing for years. You'll know him, but the most recent car that he and Jay Roach drove, I didn't realize that it was pieced out. So it's a little bit of info we have from Macon rather. He was trying to put it together, thinking about putting it together, but yeah, it was a little tired, even the latest part. So he's going to try to come back and do it big time one of these days. But yeah, with it, I love that. And by the way, the sport is filled with thousands of these guys who crew and help and do the work on these on these funny cars and dragsters and all the cars out there. And we love them all. They're all part of the family of drag racing. But he took that background as a little kid seeing it, and he is now helping other little kids hopefully find their future, which I think is just amazing. And so really, and man, so much fun to talk to. So we want to thank Macon Jackson for coming on the show. Thank you, John Balkman, my brother, for taking good care of us. Oh, by the way, thank you to the Northeast and Nito guys who Chuck gave me this hoodie, and I had it packed away, and I found it the other day. I'm like, oh man, I forgot that, dude. So wearing that proudly, thank you. And thanks to Kay Turkelson, of course, our dear, who finds these great folks for us. And she is working hard. We were talking this week. She's got a huge list that she's chasing down. Lots of really, really exciting names coming up in the first couple of weeks of the year. And of course, thanks to Rob McCabe for updating the drag lists. He is doing that right now with the final cars from the World Finals and all of 2024, plus going back and filling in some cars from late 2023. So lots of good stuff being put onto the drag lists by Rob McCabe. Also, thanks to Ron Tums, by the way, and to Melba Shore for taking care of the older cars on our list. Thank you forever to our friend Danny White, who worked on this thing from 1990 until 2023 and just put 33 hard years in on making sure that you guys all saw the cool stuff. And our new crew is trying to keep up with them, because that's a hard thing to do. I want to thank Jeff Gilder of Zeus Digital Marketing, Racers Reunion, and Wingding Media for getting us started and for continuing his support. Once again, click the share button. Let your friends know that we're out here, even if you're watching this on a recording. And also be sure to subscribe to the Draglist channel. Finally, check in on Draglist.com every single day to see what's new. Lots of good news and notes from the world of drag racing out there. And finally, we will see you next week for Randy Winkle and Stormy Bird. Until then, I'm Bill Pratt, and John Baugh, on behalf of John and Kay and everybody else, will say farewell.